Hey, it is November the 5th, 2018, day 5 of NaNoWriMo. It is 20 minutes after 6. It has been a, not a great day. I do have my words completed for the day. However, don't get too jealous of my word count because I have 1,904 words in my document here, but about 1,000 of them is what I call free writing, which is basically where I just start writing and talking to myself about the story and where I think it should go and how things are going and where I think things might go and things like that. So those words are not publishable. So like up here, I just start kind of writing how I feel. This is one thing I do when I'm really struggling, and today I was struggling a lot. I just sort of start writing what's in my head. I just, the old saw about, just start typing out, I don't know what to write, etc., etc. And you can sort of work through not knowing what to write and get into something. That's what I did. And I just started posing questions to myself, like, where is the conflict in this story? Where's the mystery? What is it that when I read stories, I'm always thinking about things that I enjoy in stories that I read is conflict, like characters kind of butting heads and coming into conflict. Other things that keep me reading are mysteries of some kind, like, what does this thing mean? What does it mean when this person says this? And is there some deeper story there? And can we explore that? So I just started asking myself questions about that, and so that is what a large percentage of the writing I did today is. The other thing that I like to ask myself a lot when I'm writing is, what is the worst thing that can happen to this person, this character? What is, and that is sort of a direction that I like to go, or that I wish I could go. It doesn't always work out that way. In fact, it hardly ever works out that way, but I like to think of like decision points, and if there's a decision point in a story, or like a branching point, I don't know what to call that, but if there's two paths a story can take, I like to take the path that will lead to the most conflict and the worst possible outcome for a character. That's my ideal world of writing a story. So that is a lot of what I wrote there. So I don't really have much else to say about what I wrote today. I'm not super happy with what I wrote. I don't really feel like I feel like my characters are just kind of on a wild goose chase right now. They're just kind of going places and talking to people, but they're not really doing a lot. So a couple of things, I wrote down some notes here of things to talk about. One thing I wanted to mention, which made me laugh, today we got a pep talk from Andy Weir on the NaNoWriMo website. And the part of this that just made me laugh was down here where he talks about, first off, you have to accept that you're not going to be blazing away in a creative euphoria all the time. In fact, you'll almost never be in that state. Usually, it's a slog. So make your peace with the fact that it is a slog. So make your peace with the fact that it is a slog, and I think there's a typo though, and that you're working toward a goal. But this is the quote that I love here. Writing isn't like playing music where the act itself is rewarding. It's more like gardening where the work is hard and unpleasant, but the result is beautiful. I just thought that was... I agree 100% with what he says there. It's just that it's such a terrible pep talk. It's like, let's get everybody psyched up about writing. It's a slog. It's not like playing music where the act itself is rewarding. The work is hard and unpleasant. It's really... I just thought that was really funny. And while I'm here on the NaNoWriMo website, I thought I would also... where is it? Conversation forums. I thought I would... I mentioned before that I don't really hang out on these forums very much, and I kind of glanced through the forums again today, and I now kind of realize why. Because not very many of these forum titles really appeal to me, or they don't feel like... I don't feel like they are really speaking to me, I guess. Nano prep, I mean, prep time is over. World building, I mean, that might be an interesting place to hang out, but again, I think I mentioned in my first video that I actually am less concerned about world building than I am with a story. The story, to me, is more important than the world building. As I'm writing this story, I will say... as I'm writing, I am throwing world-building things into the story, which I'm finding very interesting. My dog is snoring very loudly in the room with me, so you might be able to hear that. So yeah, I throw in like historical names, fake history names, and in my story, you know, reference to old kings who do old things, and that's sort of the world building that I do as I go along. But in more and more in recent years, I shy away from doing any world building up front. Where's my mute button? Cough, cough, cough. Beyond 50K, I don't see myself hanging out there. That's for the overachievers. I'm not an overachiever, and even if I were, I would be embarrassed to be in that forum. NaNoWriMo ate my soul. Your laptop won't boot, the coffee pot is empty, and your cat refuses to move off of the keyboard. This is the premier support group for novelists in distress. I don't really feel like I'm in distress. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot in there that I could relate to. But I feel like at this stage of my NaNoWriMo writing career, quote unquote, I've just sort of embraced the lifestyle of it, and it's just not that big of a deal to me anymore. Helpful resources and sites, I mean, there might be something in there I could get. Useful stuff in there. Nanotechnology, I'm sort of... I know what I use now, and I just kind of stick with it. Social media, I don't really do a lot with social media during NaNoWriMo. And then there's the genres, which, I mean, might be fun to hang out with. But again, I just... fantasy, I guess, would be my genre here. But, it just, I mean, these things... Yeah, I mean, a lot of these, I mean, I can identify with a lot of this stuff, but profanity-free insults, yeah, how do you write your characters to have, to insult people in language that is appropriate in world, that in world would sound, would be offensive to the other characters in the novel, but not necessarily offensive to the reader of the novel. That is a problem that I have struggled with before. I am almost positive I've seen this exact same question pretty much every year in NaNoWriMo. Yeah, it's just, I mean, that's a thing that comes up every year. And it is a dilemma. I have struggled with that before. Because it's really easy to get to the point where the insults or the profanity doesn't sound profane, it sounds comedic. And it's really hard to make something that sounds profane but is not comical, but is also not, you know, it is still PG rated, basically. It's a difficult problem. Age group 30s and 40s. I'm technically I'm in my 40s, but I don't really I don't like the title of this, the corner for those who are just a little older. Maybe not any wiser, but definitely in this together. I don't feel like I hate to say it, but I'm kind of beyond the age where I feel like 30s and 40s is old. So that doesn't really resonate with me. Stupid mute button. Rebels, I'm not a rebel. I do Nano pretty much by the rules. I don't, well, except, you know, you could say I cheat a little bit by including my free writing as part of my word count. But that's, what's my time here? I don't want to ramble all day this time. 12 minutes. I think I'll save that for another. I was going to transition into the topic of the dark side of NaNoWriMo, but I'll save that for later. Oh, one other quick thing. I think I mentioned last time or one time recently that I forget what I write, and that may sound ridiculous, but I very rarely do go back and read my previous day's writing before I start the current day's writing. So I often forget what I've written, and what happens is I find myself repeating myself a lot. So during the revision process, I have to kind of edit out the times that I say the same things more than once. It's, the reason I do that is because I may have already mentioned this, speaking of repeating myself, but I always want to, I don't ever want to look back. I always want to keep looking forward and try to not get bogged down with worrying about what I've previously done. And so each day I try to imagine that today's writing is going to be really good, because there's nothing in the past to dissuade me from thinking that today's writing is going to be really good, if that makes any sense. It doesn't always work. Like today's a good example. I wrote some stuff today, but it wasn't that great. But I did write some stuff. I guess I would say I'm happy that I did eventually write some actual draft words instead of just free writing. Because I was afraid that I was not going to be able to write anything today. I was just totally blank. I'm really not sure where this thing is going right now. But anyway, I think I'll stop here. I'm still feeling like I'm just rushing through this, and I still got up to 15 minutes of recording. Anyway, that is the end of day 5, NaNoWriMo. See you later.